Is there a double standard in Atlanta? Do the Mariners and Orioles front offices hate each other? And is Julio Rodriguez absolutely cooked? Plus, the Marlins Mount Rushmore. All that and more now. What is going on, everybody? It is James the Greek, and there's so much to talk about. So without further ado, let's bring in our boy, Mr. 69, the king of pitchers, Mr. David Ardsma. DA, what's up, buddy?
You used the term cooked. Look at you. Look at you, my guy. You're young, spry, full of energy. Look at you. What is happening?
Well, I'm in a good mood because I got my new irons today. I'm hoping that I can reduce my handicap to sub 20.
Yeah, because the irons are the problem.
Hey, man, I needed something more forgiving. We can't all be natural athletes and hit a freaking driver 430 yards on a line in a long drive contest.
Sometimes it goes to the right. Sometimes it goes to the left. Sometimes it goes straight. But as long as I find it, I'll be all right.
Both ways.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it does. It's a good move. I've seen that thing snake a little bit.
Yep. How you doing, pal?
Doing good. I was went out to a golf tournament yesterday. Andrea was heckling. So Andrea was on a charity heckling people, which is perfect. When a group walked up, they said, "Hey, are you a professional?" She goes, "No, I'm just an asshole." And it was, I'm going to make that a t-shirt. Like this, it's so freaking perfect. And, but these guys walked up and it was like a 330-yard par 4. And this guy walks up and goes, "Yeah, he might hit the green." And I'm like, "Good, that's really good." And he's like, "Yeah, he crushes it. He hits her so far." And he was like 30 yards short. But they're like, I mean, he hit it well, incredible hit, straight. I mean, easy lob onto the green. Incredible shot. I'm not even talking about the shot, but it's so funny when sometimes they hear that and I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'd be hitting a 3-iron." You know, like, hey, like I wouldn't hit my driver on this hole. Like it's too short for my driver.
Yeah, no, you hit the ball far, which is why I'm dying to get you to play softball with us one day. I really want to see that. And as far as the shirt, it would be so much better if she said, "Are you a professional?" "Nah, my husband hasn't paid me for sex in years."
Yes.
They did
ask, they go, "Hey, how many kids you guys have?" Because I was there for about an hour. And I go, "We got 2 that she knows of." And all the guys started laughing. I'm like, that's perfect. Perfect lines.
Enough golf talk.
And now where James is ready, let's start the show.
No, it's not even that I'm ready, but I know that our viewers don't want to hear us talking about golf. Although if they knew your wife, they would like us talking about your wife way more than baseball because it's way more entertaining.
She should host it.
She needs her
own host, show. But she definitely should be on the show.
Yeah, I might get her. Next time you're sick, I'm bringing in Andrea.
I'm never sick, dude.
One of these days you're going to have to be out.
I'm sick in the head. She's way sicker in the head, though.
Oh, I totally agree. One of your former teams, the Atlanta Braves, has a little bit of drama. So for those of you who haven't heard, you've been living under a rock because if you're watching our show, you know exactly what's going on. But we need Mr. 69's point of view. Ronald Acuña, who is still injured, who's sitting on the bench, who knows where he is. He's sitting there tweeting because Jared Kelenic didn't run out of ball and Brian Snitker, the manager, did not bench him after that and said, "Oh, well, he benched me. It's a double standard." Do you think there's a double standard?
Yeah, first Acuna tweeted it or X'd it and deleted it very quickly, realizing, or the Braves front office realizing, I gave Ronald
or his agent.
Out. We're gonna somebody, or maybe him. Maybe he was just had a couple pops in him, like we all do. We all jump a couple drinks in us and drunk tweeting. It's a thing. Do I think there's a double standard? I'm hard on this one. It's hard. I don't think a double standard necessarily exists. I think Brian Snitker is a very great manager. When they talked to him after the game, one of the reporters said, is there repercussion here for Kelenic not running this out? And his quote was, "Well, should I have?" So what he also acknowledges after that was he didn't know that Kelenic didn't run it out. He was not aware of it. Kelenic, it wasn't a matter of like he sat there, watched it, kind of took a couple steps, and then like, "Oh crap," and started running. Kelenic kind of took a couple softer hops, like softer like jogs, and then started running. So he was kind of moving the whole time. There wasn't Ozuna got a lot of slack for hitting it and literally like taking 5 steps as slow as humanly possible and then running. Acuna, I haven't seen the video, but I know he took a couple pimp steps.
Yeah.
Kelenic started kind of jogging and then running. And he didn't know, off the bat, Snitker didn't know all this. I think he should have handled the media better. And I also think it was probably the media grabbing that quote.
Yeah.
And instead of him saying, hey, I didn't see it, I didn't realize he didn't run, I'll handle that in the clubhouse, Snitker said, I don't know, should I have? It was kind of like you're kind of exhausted with the media. What?
It was just a stupid answer.
It was a stupid answer. It sounds like what you would say when you're kind of exhausted with the media and they say something stupid and you don't realize that it's actually something important.
Yeah.
And you go like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, why would I suspend Kelenic for not running out? What are you talking about? And then that gets played out when you don't even realize he just kind of pimped it. I don't think there's a double standard. I think there might be sometimes, and I'll be honest, a lot of times the double standard exists when somebody has a something that's been told about them or something that they've done where it seems lazy in the past.
When there's a track record.
There's a track record. There's guys that come up in the minor leagues. This is why first impressions matter so much. Is this? We talk about this all the time. When you meet people, you meet a girl, you go to a job interview, your first impression is all that matters. So if they come into the minor leagues and you're like, dude, this guy's a lazy ass. Like he doesn't run it out. He does, and that's something that what happens, especially with some younger players. And in baseball, the younger players we get are from the Dominican and Latin American countries because they're 16. Yeah. They're sophomores. And we get the opportunity in America to do that in our sophomore year in high school, freshman year in high school, and nobody knows about it because you're on a backfield. No one's watching the game. You get to be lazy. Coach chews you out, sits you for a game. And then the next day you learned your lesson. So you get to learn. These guys are learning in the minors. And the problem is when you learn the minors, the first person that hears about it is your coach. And then the coach tells the assistant, the coordinator, then the coordinator tells the minor league director, the minor league director tells the assistant GM tells the GM, because we have to report all that. So if essentially if on day one, when you're 16 years old, you've got a reputation of being lazy and it's like, it's not rightfully so. It just is what it is. And then when they're 26, they still have this in the back of your head. You're like, he's lazy. He's just going to show it at some point. And then they pimp a home run that ends up landing on the warning track, and they have this reputation. So it's not necessarily there, but it is there. Right. But I'll say this: there's plenty of white guys that have like reputations for being lazy. Plenty of white guys that like Kelenic had a problem for a long time, and then Kelenic now goes to a new place, has a new reputation, new kind of. Those guys don't necessarily know, but there's a lot of guys that get these reputations. It's just not necessarily founded.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw this story, the first instinct that I had was, oh, good. Acuña's calling out his teammate when he's not running it out, and that's what a leader should do. But then when I thought about it even more, I'm like, okay, he could have called him. He could have texted him. He could have called his manager. Shouldn't be doing it from out there. So, yeah, I changed my mind on this.
Handled it in the dugout. Handled it in the locker room. Said, hey, Jared, and you walk down in the locker room in the tunnel like, hey, run this effing ball out. You're better than that. All right. Like, that's not how we play baseball here. That's how you handle it. You don't. Yeah. That is how Jason Varitek handles things. That's how Derek Jeter handles things. That's how these guys that are captains on teams that are just constantly successful. But to be honest, it would have never gotten to that point. You would never had to have those guys say those things. And so that's what, never forget Papelbon throwing Bryce Harper up against the wall, cracking his helmet, giving him a concussion, saying, run these balls out.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden after that, you saw a change in Bryce Harper. He started running everything out. He got a reputation of being a teammate and a leader after that. Before that, it was kind of like Bryce Harper, like you got to deal with him because he's so talented. Now he's become a dude, and he's become the leader. Like, handle it at the moment, ideally, quietly, behind closed doors. I remember all the time in Mike Sweeney. Remember Mike Sweeney in Seattle? Dude, I found out like months later, like he would handle guys in that locker room. Like he threw a couple guys up against the wall,
right,
and handled it because they were very obviously over time being lazy. I remember somebody very well-known baseball player in baseball who was around for a long time, played many years.
You can name names. It's all good.
No, I'm not going. I won't. because it's behind closed doors. It should be behind closed doors. But he was. I look up to both of them, but I didn't even know this, and I thought the player was being a little lazy. I thought he was being a little entitled. I didn't know him personally yet, but I thought he was being a little lazy, a little entitled, pissed about his role being changed. And apparently Mike Sweeney behind closed doors threw him up against the wall. And after that, everything changed and became a teammate, became a leader, and actually ended up having a solid year, not quite making the money, not quite as good as the money, but at the same time changed everything and became a much better player for it. That's the stuff that happens. That's what leaders do.
Yeah, and then on top of that, so we had this whole situation. We had Acuna going on Twitter and Kelenic, but then we had Ken Rosenthal with a stupid little bow tie write something on The Atlantic saying how there is a double standard. And if you look at it, he treated this guy like this and that guy like this, but he didn't treat Kelenic like this. And then, of course, we have Jeff Francoeur coming after the whole situation, which I don't know if you know Jeff at all. I've spoken to Jeff Francoeur at least 50 times. And although we're not friends and I don't know him like well, but I never got the sense that he was a blowhard or he wasn't genuine. I always liked Frenchie. What was your reaction to Francoeur's?
What did Francoeur say again?
Basically saying we don't need Acuna and he should have kept his mouth shut. And yeah. And then bad mouthing Rosenthal because that's not the truth. And he was saying, and the one thing that I had a problem with Francoeur saying was, you didn't know that he was that Kelenic was sitting there in Snitker's office crying for a half an hour. I would not appreciate that if I'm Kelenic. I don't want people knowing that I'm crying in the manager's office because then I'm looking soft. That's just.
I think there's a lot to play here. One, don't dog on Rosenthal's bow tie. They're incredible.
No, they're terrible.
They're all for charity. Every one he wears is for a different charity to raise awareness, to raise money. So that's only I've talked to him a lot about it, and they're all great causes. Two, I think sometimes reputations, you get lazy and get lazy. There might be more of a reputation on Latin players than there are on other players. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I think sometimes again, you earn your reputation sometimes. I don't know. I don't think it's this. But when you play those videos and you play, especially Ozuna, and the difference between him and Kelenic, there's a massive difference between how they reacted to the ball. And there's a massive difference when a lot of times like Hanley Ramirez got the reputation pretty quickly and Manny Machado. But when you watch the plays and you're like, yeah, that's lazy. Kelenic looked like it was a mistake. And again, you do it once, shame on you. You do it twice, you have a reputation. I don't agree with Francoeur. I think Acuna is a big part of the team. Again, you don't know behind closed doors how Acuna is as a leader, as a player. I don't know those things. I don't like that he's necessarily talking about Kelenic crying in the office, but I think what he's trying to get across is that it didn't matter to him, and Snitker handled it. Snitker handled it behind closed doors after he found out. I think that the problem, again, all goes back to Snitker not knowing and not having that conversation and like a teammate's not handling it. It should never get to the manager having to handle it. It all started right there. I think Snitker just said, hey, I'll review this. I'll check this out. We'll need to have a conversation. I didn't know type of thing. And that didn't happen. That was really what started this whole problem.
And I think the bigger part is the fact that the Braves have been so bad to start the season that there was just a powder keg that's waiting to explode. And like everybody's pissed off. Like, wait a minute, why did we start so crappy? And Acuna's sitting there like, I'm not there yet. Guys, make sure that you're staying above water. So when I get back, I can help you, lead you to the promised land. And I don't know, but do you have any kind of relationship or have you had any kind of relationship with Snitker? What kind of a manager is he? What do you know?
You kind of asked the same thing about Francoeur. I had known Francoeur. I played with Francoeur in Arizona Fall League. Incredible. I've known him. I've known him for years after that. Like every time I saw him, like great guy, great player, great teammate, and nothing but heart for the game. Nothing but heart for the game. So if he says something, it's all about heart. Like it's great. Like he actually cares. Snitker, awesome manager. Obviously, has had a lot of success. I think the problem is he has like kind of 1 foot out the door before the season and kind of talking about maybe retirement. He doesn't know where he's at. The moment you're talking like that, just walk away. You're either full in or full out. And I think he was so kind of, and the team like struggled last year I'm not saying Snitker isn't the right manager. I just don't think he's in the right headspace to handle a team like this right now. You need to have some conversations with them saying, where are we at mentally, physically? Are we going to have we need somebody come in and start cracking skulls right now is what this team needs, because they have all the pieces. They need to start putting it together. Like Ozuna's having another really solid year. Olsen's playing well. And especially as of late, you're seeing Michael Harris Jr. Or Michael Harris II playing really well as of late. And so you're seeing things. Austin Riley is hitting almost 300. So you're seeing some really good things there. Obviously, from a pitching standpoint, it's not going the way they wanted. With Schwellenbach doing great, but the rest of the rotation not doing also good. And so there are some issues here. What?
And Strider moving to the IL.
Absolutely. Your Cy Young guy going to IL. So there's a lot of things going on here, but I need a manager that's going to kind of come in and start cracking skulls, a little younger energy right now. That's my only issue. I love Snitker. Snitker should be the manager for years, but when his heart's not into it, that to me, and the team doesn't feel like his heart, something has to change. That's what has to change.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see Buck Showalter in those press conferences.
Oh God,
and just being like, so how did you handle this? Trying to get Snitker in trouble. Maybe he gets to that job.
Yeah. I need a Buck Showalter type that has a little bit more ability to talk to younger players and Latin players right now. Yeah. But I need that type that's going to come and crack some skulls a little bit.
You know who would be really good if he was younger? Would be Ozzie Guillen.
No, too fiesta. Too much of a fiesta. I can't have a guy that's hot and cold. My problem with him, he's hot and cold. Okay. And he would say, I'm going to say it's really, he would say things to your face and then come around and say some things in the media, and you're just like, or you'll say, I'll never talk about a player. I'll take all the blame. I'll never talk about a player. But if that player done this and this player done that, and you're like, Ozzie. But again, Ozzie's a little too high and low. I need an Alex. I need a
Alex Cora isn't the guy. He's not firing enough.
No, Alex Cora is a great developmental guy. Yeah. I don't know. I'll think about it.
All right. The bottom line is we have learned one very important thing, that leadership matters a lot. And if you want to be led by one of the best and become the best pitcher, the best baseball player that you can be, who better to lead you than the guys at Top Velocity Pro and that beautiful David Aardsma. DA, explain what Top Velocity Pro is and how they can get involved.
Your total complete baseball development system for any thrower, anybody. Top Velocity Pro down here in Scottsdale, Arizona. But I do stuff online. I have people fly in. I got locals, all this stuff. But either way, we will find out what makes you and how to create you to be the best version of yourself you can possibly be. We handle everything completely from a pitch development standpoint, from a body development standpoint, nutrition, weightlifting. It doesn't matter. We handle it and we make you the best version of yourself.
David Aardsma turned me into the douchebag that I am today.
Yes.
All right, let's move on now because there's some trouble brewing. It started brewing a year ago. It's something that we both saw before the season. And God damn it, why in the hell can't they fix it? Are we the only people on the planet who figured out that Baltimore needed more pitching? I mean, this is an absolute joke. If you take a look at the numbers, they are digging themselves into a hole. And it's completely unnecessary because there's no team in the American League that is all that good. They're in the AL East. Who in the AL East terrifies you? Nobody.
Yankees.
In my opinion.
Yankees. Absolutely.
They terrify you?
I said it before the year. I said this year. You should terrify you. You got your number 4 hitter hitting or 3-hole hitter hitting .415.
Okay, I understand.
And you got an ace that's pitching like an ace. And you got that's a Yankees are a very good team.
Okay, you can. I still
you don't believe it. You've never believed it before the season, but again, Yankees terrify me. But outside of that, no. No one else. The Rangers are good. No one in the Central terrifies me at all. The Tigers are good. Royals will be better, but the Orioles are so bad. 18th in hitting right now, basically dead last in pitching. I will say this: there's so much criticism on the pitching side.
Right.
Rightfully so. But I don't think That's the one place they actually went and got guys. That is the only place that they actually went and signed players. They brought in Charlie Morton. They brought in Sugano, again, who hasn't been pitching bad. I mean, he's had 3.5.
No, Sugano's been fine. But
Sugano's been good. Like Charlie Morton, though, like he's got a 10. Dean Kramer's got a 7. You're looking at this like Brandon Young, who's been up, Cade Povich, who's been obviously up for these things, and like they've 6.5, 7, almost a 7, and now you're sitting there with Bradish, Eflin hurt, Grayson Rodriguez hurt, Trevor Rogers hurt, like Tyler Wells. Like they've had, again, like Tyler Wells last year, but they had guys, and Bradish last year, but they had guys, and they brought guys in. Here, my bigger problem is that when you lose a guy like a Burns, who is a Cy Young winner, absolute dominant force last year for you in the rotation, the force the year before that, you lost your best hitter from a power standpoint in Santander, and from a veteran standpoint, you lost the 2 biggest leaders in your team, in your clubhouse, and your bullpen has just been like blah at best. What we were screaming that they needed veterans on this team. They needed some guys that were leadership type guys, the guys that could go in the lineup and add some oomph. You can't, what was it, 44 home runs that they lost in Santander, and you didn't add a single, like, basically home run. Tyler O'Neill was your guy.
Yeah.
Like Tyler O'Neill coming in. I understand you have all the prospects in the world, and that's going to give time. The problem is the combination of prospects and pitching staff and everything. The window, like, is like kind of slowly here. The problem is they're not developing to a level matching that window.
Correct.
They're taking longer. Like Jackson Holiday is like really blah, like at best, and I get it. Like this is his second year, but like we want to see some growth here, and you're seeing some guys. Adley's taking a step back. Gunner's taking a step back. Maybe it's a group thought thing, but like there's a big difference between like when we had Gunner and Adley, and then you had Santander behind him hitting 44. Like those guys, like Soto screamed it. You get more pitches.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. I was like, you're seeing in these lineups, guys getting more pitches based upon their lineup and how they're constructed. But like, if I'm sitting there and I got Tyler Hearn as like who I'm scared behind Adley Rushman, I am not pitching to Gunnar Henderson or Adley Rushman. Cedric Mullins needs a lot more credit for as good as he is.
Yes.
Like, and we've talked about this. Like Cedric Mullins has been a stud for a long time.
And we never talk about him. He's so underappreciated in baseball.
Absolutely. But when you're looking at this, like this lineup, I'm like, nah, okay, after Adley and Gunnar, I know they can hurt me, but after them, next. Like, okay, Tyler O'Neill, unless it's opening day, next. Like after that, I don't understand. When no one understood the lineup construction, and like again, my boy Kobe Mayo, let's go. But like at some point, like trade some of these guys. But like if I'm sitting there and I'm another GM and you're telling me you're going to trade Jackson Holiday to me, I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I get it, the promise of something, but like sometimes you just sit back and go, too late, dude.
You know what? Mike Elias' new name is the Squirrel. All right. The GM of the Orioles is a squirrel because he takes all these prospects. He thinks they're nuts. He shoves them in his mouth. He's got a mouth full of freaking nuts.
Hold on to them.
And holds on to them. So now you have this window where you have a whole bunch of young players and you can trade them and get something good. And I know you're worried about, what if this guy is the next Trout? What if this guy's the next Ellie De La Cruz? But what if he's the next Brett Beatty? What if he's the next, I'm just thinking about all the prospects.
I understand the prospects are only valuable to bring in value to your organization. Okay.
Yeah.
Prospects bring in value, whether it's them or whether it's somebody else. But, okay, let's just say they're Juan Soto. Let's just say Jackson Holiday was Juan Soto. Kobe Mayo might be Juan Soto, which is the last player that we can really look back and say massive prospect and traded. Like, you get it. He was traded once he was already won a World Series, but he's been traded several times. And so when we look at that and say the Nationals built an organization on getting rid of Juan Soto. And like you got that. You have players that are prospect level as that. And
Yeah.
so why don't you build your organization off of some of these guys? Like the whole point is like, cool, what if Kobe Mayo is a great player? Amazing. But like sometimes you can get the great player for the prospect. And it's like, if Kobe Mayo is a great player one day, but you can go get the great player. You can guarantee you the great player.
Yeah.
That's what I sometimes lose as a GM when I'm trying to put myself in the mindset is I'll take the great player for the prospect of a great player. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather have the great player for less control. Then cool, I'll get 6 years of control out of Kobe Mayo. Maybe he's the great player, but I have the great player. Like I'm winning baseball games. If this was the Phillies and you changed GMs,
Oh God.
right? Dombrowski would have they would be a World Series champion right now.
Yeah.
In my mind, they would sell out every game. They would be the prime of the American League. They'd be 15-9 right now in the AL East. They'd be leading the league in everything, and you wouldn't have any prospects left. But they'd be World Series champions probably. Maybe last year, maybe next year, maybe the year after that, they'd be World Series champions.
And everybody was sitting there last year making fun of me when I said that, oh, maybe, just maybe, and I know this would never happen, maybe Baltimore should think about trading 2 or 3 of these prospects or Gunnar Henderson to the Pirates to get Paul Skeens. Now, I know that's never going to happen. Skeens is not going anywhere for a while. He's the face of that franchise. He's what brings butts into the seats. But you have all these prospects. So now I look at Mike Elias, the GM of the Orioles. Then I go across the country, and I look at Jerry Dipoto. And what does Jerry Dipoto have? A whole bunch of pitchers. A whole ton of pitchers, no prospects that can possibly hit anytime soon. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait, maybe this is like one of those old TV shows. Like, I remember there was this Simpson thing where, you know, they had the big brother who was complaining, well, I have this roast and I have no one to eat it. And then the little brother sitting there, and I'm so hungry. And you're like, he's got a roast. You're hungry. Get together. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, do we have to lock these 2 idiots in a closet somewhere so they can make a deal? It just makes all the sense in the world. You have Castillo, you have Wu, you have Kirby, you have all these pitchers, but you have no hitting whatsoever. And
well,
God forbid
let me cut you off there. They have hitting. They have hitting. They actually have decent hitting. So here's the problem. Still the same problem they've had is T-Mobile Ballpark. That's their problem. That is so when they go on the road, at home, their batting average is 187. Mm-hmm. On the road, it's 270. That's their problem, is that they just get trashed at home. Dude, that is 100-point swing at home versus the road. And this is the Colorado type of swing. Their slugging is 100 difference. Their OPS is 170, 180 difference. 180 OPS difference between road and home. So which is really funny, which their home runs are actually not crazy off because they still need 2 more games at home to match their road. Oh, sorry, they need 2 more road games to match home. Sorry, I had that backwards. So it's actually, it's much better on the road. So their biggest problem is T-Mobile. So to me, a lot of people talked about the backdrop, and again, sorry, the pitching numbers match the hitting numbers. So maybe it's actually not the greatest pitching staff in the world. Maybe they just pitch at home, because at home they have a 3 ERA. On the road, they have a 5.11.
Okay, so
it's a home ballpark advantage. So a lot of times we sit there, and I've done this. I've been one to blame this. I'm going, dude, 1 for 5. This is the best pitching staff in all of baseball at home, which happens to be everybody's a Cy Young pitcher in Seattle. It doesn't matter what team you're on. When you walk into Seattle, you're a Cy Young style pitcher. So there is a problem with T-Mobile, a massive, massive problem with T-Mobile that they need to figure out. Because look at this. Day games, they're batting 290. Night games, 143. They play in a dome. So even day games sometimes are night games, right? So basically, because it's covered. So there's an issue with the lights. There's an issue with the backstop. There's an issue with something about that stadium that absolutely needs to be changed and just blown up. Start over. Blow up the whole thing from a hitter standpoint, and start over, because these type of numbers and stuff, like Julio Rodriguez away is batting, which is the crazy thing, is batting 213 and batting 199 out and 191 at home. Again, that's not that like he isn't really any better anywhere right now.
Right.
But he has started to swing better lately, 231 in the last 7 games.
We'll talk about Julio next, because I do want to discuss Julio in depth.
Oh, perfect. But like this Seattle team, it is a stark contrast home or away, and they need to address this. And this is something that just needs to be slapped across everybody's faces and say, wake up, because this is a different team, home versus away. And it's at some point you got to agree it's not the players. Because the players are good. The moment they go on the road and you look at this lineup, they start hitting. Like Julio's like whatever, we'll talk about him. But Polanco hits, Cal Raleigh hits, Rosarena hits, Rayleigh hits. Like everybody hits in the lineup when they're on the road. So that's something where I would, if I'm a GM, going, he's actually made the right decisions.
Then maybe
it's the stadium.
Well, okay. Then the general manager, last time I checked, is in charge of the whole facility. Correct?
No, the team president, but I know what you're saying.
Okay, well, the GM should at least at that point be able to realize that, hey, this isn't the right team for the stadium that I have.
It's not the right stadium for anybody. That's the problem, is everybody sucks there. Everybody sucks when they go to Seattle. Everybody, except for the pitchers. Like, all the pitchers do well.
All right, so if that's the case, then you know that the pitchers do well as a result of the stadium. Get a lesser pitcher, trade one of those pitchers while their value is super high, and get yourself a couple of great young prospects.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. That's baseball now. Now you say, so it's the Coors Field effect. It doesn't matter who you pitch, right? Like you can find an average pitcher and he becomes really good in Seattle. Now go get the best hitters and become average. So if you're average in Seattle, you're going to be the best Seattle baseball team of all time. Because like when you go on the road, you're going to see these roads, like they're going to be hitting 310 on the road. And so that's something they have to figure out. And I agree with you. Take some of these dudes and maybe like take a Woo, right? Take a Woo and move them. Take a Bryce Miller and say, okay, cool. Give me Kobe Mayo. Give me some
Castillo.
Yeah, I would Castillo in a heartbeat now, again, contract-wise and all that.
Right.
That sort of stuff.
But yeah, you got Kobe Mayo. You have Jordan Westburg. You have Heston Kjerstad. All of those guys should be available. None of them are over-the-top Bryce Harper type, young prospects. Get one of those guys, put them in that lineup, see what you got, and then you're going to put a replacement player pitcher.
Then we're going to sit there and go, God, they suck. They couldn't make it as a big leaguer because they go to Seattle and they're going to be hitting 220.
But at least they're making an attempt.
Yeah, well, I understand it, but I do think he's done an incredible job of building a good team. I just think we are grading them against everybody else when you look at their disadvantage at home when they're actually a very competitive team. And especially when they go on the road, they are, if not, one of the best teams in baseball. Like from a team average, let's look at this. If they were hitting 270, right, on the road, they would be leading the league in hitting if they hit 270 at home.
Which is so sad that batting average is nothing anymore.
Crazy, but they would be. The Chicago Cubs are hitting 265, leading Major League Baseball. They would be leading Major League Baseball if they just did their road average. That, to me, is a very good baseball team and a very good offense. It's just half their games are at home and they're hitting one whatever.
Right. Well, bottom line is these two teams need to get together. In my opinion, they are the perfect trade partners. I don't know if these two GMs hate each other. I have no idea, but somebody get them on the phone, make a deal. It only makes all the sense in the world. And Baltimore, you are wasting an amazing opportunity. I don't know why you let Santander out the door. I understand Corbin Burns wanted to go to Arizona. I totally get that, but you needed to get another pitcher and you needed to get that leadership big time bat that you lost with Santander. I just don't understand what they did. They had a window. To me, nobody in the American League East is terrifying. Okay. The Yankees are good, but they're not terrifying. They're not going to run away with it. They're not winning 110 games. Go.
Did you hear, like, they got new ownership. Everybody's all excited. Money through the gills.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear their name in? I understand this is old ownership. Did you hear their name in on Judge?
No.
Did you hear their name in on and I get Correa, like this is Correa,
Right. No.
but he was
no.
the dude. Couple years. Did you hear their name on Bregman?
No, they have all the money in the world and they're doing nothing with it.
Did you hear their name on Soto?
No.
Did you hear their name on Ohtani?
No, but here's the thing. I believe that's a direct result of their GM. I don't think he wants those guys. He's always been that guy that wants the young player. I want the prospect. I want to hold on to him. I need nuts in my mouth. That's what I think.
If you're just watching right now, you didn't get the reference. It's like it's the reference about a squirrel holding on the nuts.
Yes.
And so I to me is yes. I wonder how much of a mandate there is from team and understanding that there's going to be a lot of money coming out the door soon with all these prospects. You don't know all that, but at the end of the day, like you got to hear their name in on some of these guys. Like I didn't even hear their name in on Burns. I didn't even hear their name in on some of these Santander.
Nobody.
Like there's guys, their own guys I didn't hear their name in on, at least enough talk like nationally that they're really legit on some of these guys. But like to me, I just don't even understand it. Like, how do you see that team and not like think Soto would have fit perfect? Like you're losing your right fielder, Juan Soto, American East guy, up and coming team. Like you want to sell him.
Taking
one
him
of his
away
big
from
questions
your division rival.
Well, yeah, and one of his big questions, and we knew this from the Blue Jays interview, I think it was, he was asking teams, where do they see themselves in 5 years? Where do they see themselves 7 years from a prospect standpoint, from a development standpoint? Dude, they had the easiest sell in all of baseball, like on a prospect standpoint.
Yeah.
Them versus the Mets, from a prospect standpoint, like it's night and day.
Right.
Dodgers are the only ones that might have even competed on that level.
Although the Mets did buy a pretty decent farm system when they traded Verlander and Scherzer. They did.
But not the Orioles.
No,
right? And like not some of these other teams, like not even remotely close. And so that's the Orioles like should have at least been in conversation. And there's no way the Blue Jays should have been able to outbid them for at least on a Soto level.
All right. Last thing on this topic. Gun to your head right now. Do you trade Jackson Holliday for Gilbert?
Oh, if I'm who?
Either one. Start from the Blue Jays.
Okay, start from the
Blue Jays. Baltimore.
From Blue Jays standpoint, yes, I trade them. I try to get from the Orioles. Am I trading for? Yes. If I'm the Mariners, probably no. I don't, guys. I'm crazy, and I understand this. I have not seen him break out yet to a level that Logan Gilbert can just maintain on an everyday basis. I haven't seen it yet. I need to see something more. Like I need to see more from a Logan Gilbert, right?
If it was Jackson Holliday and Heston Kjerstad for Logan Gilbert and a AA player.
Done. I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Now at that level, now I'm
The bottom line is there's something there. You can make a deal. Those two teams have something.
Yes, 100%. There's something there. There's something there. There's something there for both teams. There's pitching, hitting, good match.
Okay.
Let's win.
Now let's move on to a guy that we mentioned earlier, and I intended on talking about him in a little depth. Julio Rodriguez. Is he cooked?
I still love it that you're hip and you're with it.
Shut up.
I've never been on the Julio Rodriguez bandwagon. I get it. I get why people were jumping all over him. He had an incredible rookie year.
And he had a good second year, too, if you look at the numbers. I mean,
yeah, but it was a lot of second half, right? Remember that? It was a lot of second half. And he's got numbers. It's there. But
let me just throw some numbers at you because I believe that he's in trouble. OPS plus his first year, 147. Following year, 130. Then it went to 116.
Wait,
and this year
OPS plus, okay,
110.
I thought you were going OPS, and I'm like, I think we're off.
OPS plus keeps going down. Then you have his strikeouts, 145, 175. Went down a little bit last year, 156. Batting average. I know people don't care about batting average. I do. 284, to 275 to 273 to 202. On base percentage, 345 to 333, 325 to 318. And you cannot say that the park is affecting him because he's been in that park the whole time. What the hell is going on with Julio?
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is like, so we'll look at 2023. 22 is his like rookie year, right?
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, last thing,
away,
WAR.
he had 283, 285 at home. 2023, he had 284 on the road, 266 at home. 24, he had 302 on the road, 242 at home. And then you're going to this year, he's hitting 213 on the road, 191 at home. Something is definitely affecting him. I mean, he has double the amount of strikeouts.
He's pressing. I mean, that's the first thing I would
pressing
say.
Without a doubt. He's trying too much. I mean, OPS is almost the same, like 17-point difference. Slugging is 20-point difference. He's pressing without a doubt. I do have to say this from a career standpoint so far. It's just funny because sometimes there's different standards. Like a guy hitting 270 with 30, good, not great. Back in the 2000s, like that would have been good, like really good. Like, but people talk to him like he's like top 5. That's where I had problems with. People were literally projecting him. Major MLB Network Radio was projecting him as like #1 player in baseball and stuff like this. I'm like, I never saw that level. I needed to see more growth out of him, and we're just not seeing it. I don't think he's cooked by any means, and I do think there are ballpark factors there and the things that get in your head there. I do know this: when I was there and I got to interview him in 23 in spring training, they were protecting him so much. They were protecting him from interviewing. You had to sign up for it through the media guy, and they were only letting a couple people in. They were trying to not let even big time people interview him because they just protect him. I felt like there was they immediately put him on this pedestal that he's different than everybody else. They'd sign him to that long-term deal. Awesome, great deal. I don't think he's cooked, but I do think there needs to be something there. Something needs to wake up.
Okay, maybe he's not cooked, but he's not a superstar.
He's not playing like it, and he's playing like a very good baseball player.
Yeah, good baseball
but not
player.
a superstar.
He's not the centerpiece of an organization. He's a good player, and he would be the number 3, best player on some teams. I mean, he wouldn't be, top
Yankees,
2 on the Yankees.
Be number 3.
He wouldn't be
hitter.
No, meaning he would be the 3rd best hitter on some teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, but for this idea that he's a superstar, I'll tell you, man, I took him out of the great baseball card display case. His rookie cards have been bumped. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, Julio, I don't know if you're that guy. So something's got to give it. Do you think, okay, going back to what we were talking about, do you think that the Mariners would ever trade him?
Here you go. Do I think no? Center fielders in Major League Baseball right now. Who's a better center fielder in baseball than him?
Oh, I would have to get a list of center fielders.
I'll give you a list of my top 10 in no particular order. Brendan Doyle. This is before the season. JJ Bleday. Again, I'm just giving you a list. Cody Bellinger, Trout, Julio, Jackson Merrill, Michael Harris Jr., O'Neill Cruz, Byron Buxton. That's top. That was my top 10. That was it, and I purposely was mixing up the order.
Okay, talent-wise, Byron Buxton's amazing, but he's not healthy, so I've never liked him there. But you tell me, hey, you're going to get 160 games of either one. I'm taking Buxton all day long.
Of that list?
No. I'm comparing Buxton to Julio. Who else did you have? We can go by
Jackson Merrill.
I'd take
Michael Harris Jr., O'Neill Cruz, Trout.
Okay, so I think O'Neill Cruz is probably the best comp for him.
Okay.
But would I take Trout? Absolutely. Would I take Jackson Merrill? Although he's only been in the league for 1 year, I believe in Jackson Merrill. I just don't know if I believe in Julio as a star anymore.
I just think the list gets really short. And honest to God, Julio Rodriguez and Jackson Merrill, there's a pretty large gap after them.
Yeah.
You know, like a Michael Harris Jr. has had times, or Michael Harris II. Oh my God. It's like O'Neal Cruz, though, like they need to see big time growth. Like O'Neal Cruz is nowhere near Julio Rodriguez like consistency, even when he's been struggling.
Right.
I mean, Trout's Trout's a shell of him for himself. Bellinger is so hit and miss.
Mhm.
Boudet, okay. Boudet.
Yeah, I can take Boudet.
I want to see him get better, though. Lee needs to continue to get better. Buxton is maybe the best player on that list if he's on the list, if he's on the field.
Yeah.
Brent Doyle, legit. Like if he keeps improving, but like it's Marlon Rodriguez and a gap, and that's my problem though. Like in Major League Baseball right now, we have a center fielder problem.
Yes,
and that's where Julio Rodriguez just put on this pedestal, because legitimately it's him and a rookie.
All I'll say is Seattle made it out like Julio Rodriguez was the next Griffey. He ain't Junior. That's for damn sure.
No, but I get it when a guy pops on the scene hitting 284 with 30 home runs and stuff like that in Seattle with a lineup that sucked. I get it. And then, but it's like, all right, cool. Like next year.
And from what I've heard, Julio's a really good kid. I haven't heard a bad thing about him.
Absolutely. And
I know Junior absolutely loves
pressing too hard. I am not sitting there, and if he jogs out a hard hit ball to the fence, having to suspend him. You're like, he doesn't have that quote unquote like thing. Douchiness. Like, no, he's a great guy. He's a great player, and he was wonderful to me. I do think they protected him maybe a little too much and put him on a pedestal where instead of just letting him be a guy and let him be another ball player. And at the same time, we need growth, dude. And then just don't press. Just be yourself. You're fine. He's gonna be fine. I think he's gonna be just fine.
Okay, so Mariners fans, don't kill me. Okay, I'm not saying that he's not a good player.
Get him.
Carla, you know I love you.
Carla,
don't yell at me. Okay, I'm not saying that he's not a good player. I just don't think he's the superstar that you guys all thought he was. Cal Raleigh, on the other hand, might be the superstar that we didn't see coming because that kid's good.
That boy good.
That boy good. All right. We talked about it. We said that Julio one day could be on the Mount Rushmore, but today we're not talking about the Seattle Mariners Mount Rushmore. We're talking about the Miami Marlins Mount Rushmore. All right, Mr. Ardsma, we get to your part of the show where you tell us about your Mount Rushmore. So let's get it started. Who's your number one guy?
Mama called him Giancarlo, so I'm going to call him Giancarlo. I don't know if it was Michael or Giancarlo. Yeah, I'm going to say is actually, I want to say this ahead of time. Every the three best guys on this list were started their careers here and then moved on. And it kind of sucks, or at least like somewhat started their careers here, but it just kind of sucks because this organization has got their best players and none of these guys have really
been there long term.
If you want to make a list, guys, be a Marlin.
Good luck.
Good luck. You'll be on the list pretty quick if you have a good start to your career.
Yeah.
And then you'll be somewhere else.
All right, so we started with Giancarlo Stanton, also known as Mike, got the huge contract from the Marlins, was traded for a bag of balls to the Yankees. Yankees ended up paying him a lot of money, has been an absolute joke as a New York Yankee, at least in my estimation.
You're absolutely nuts.
Why? Why am I nuts? He hasn't been healthy. He has been a shell of the player that he was in Miami. He's never reached that peak that the Yankees thought they were going to get when they got him a year after he hit 59 home runs.
Yes, he 59 home runs. The next year he had 38 home runs with 100 RBIs. A couple injury years, then 35, 31, 24, 27 last year. No, not been the same. But as a Marlin, he was pretty good.
Yeah, he was great as a Marlin. And I'm not saying that he's a bad ball player for the Yankees, but they didn't get the 50 and 130 guy they thought they were getting when they got him.
No, I'll give you that. But he has the MVP. Obviously, that's an MVP season. Mm-hmm. He was ALCS MVP. He was 2-time Silver Slugger, 5-time All-Star. As a Marlin, he is the best Marlin if not second best Marlin. But from a WAR standpoint, he was actually the best Marlin in their history.
Right. Okay.
Here you go. over 1,000 games with the Marlins. I'll give you some numbers: 268, 360, 554, 267 home runs, 672 RBIs, 202 RBI doubles. Just an all around, just absolute force. And he came on the scene hitting the ball harder than I'd ever seen anybody hit a baseball in my life. Barry Bonds hit baseballs; he hit them harder,
which is crazy to think about. All right. Who do we got next, Mr. Arzma?
Number 2. This is the greatest Marlin to ever play baseball. It's just
Hands
a shame.
down.
What?
Hands down.
It's just a shame he never got to finish his career as a Marlin. My only thing is his numbers are going to be way less as a Marlin than Stanton or some guys in end of history. But he's probably the greatest player and prospect-wise Marlins will ever have, et cetera, et cetera. We're looking at the great Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah. All you got to do is say Miggy. That's it.
Miggy.
He's like Cher. He's like Madonna. You say Miggy, you're talking about Cabrera. The guy has won a Triple Crown. He didn't do it with the Marlins. Unfortunately, for some reason, the Marlins don't pony up the dough to keep their great players until it's time to build a new stadium. Then they sign everybody, and 3 months later, they trade everybody because they suckered the entire city into thinking they'd be good for a while. But yeah, what a ball player.
5 seasons with the Marlins, hit 313, 388, 542, 138 home runs, 523 RBIs, 183 doubles, 4-time All-Star, 2 Silver Sluggers. He had 100 RBIs in 4 consecutive seasons. World Series champion as a Marlin. He was Rookie of the Year 5, MVP 22, MVP 5, MVP 5, MVP 15, and then moved on to Detroit, where he ended up playing the rest of his career, finishing his career out. So, which is absolutely nuts. That's how it ended up. He double 2-time MVP over there, and the numbers with Detroit.
First ballot Hall of Fame type player. Nothing.
Absolutely crazy. Triple Crown, 7-time Silver Slugger, Player of the Year, 4-time batting champion, 12-time All-Star. I mean, this all around one of the best players I'd ever seen play baseball. I've gotten him out. I think he's 0 for 2 against me.
Really?
No. He had a hit, an infield base hit once. It was absolute bullshit.
All right.
I need to now look this up.
Do you want to know? I was looking up what the trade was that got him to Detroit. Do you want to hear the trade?
Oh, God.
Miguel Cabrera and Dontrelle Willis to the Tigers for Andrew Miller, Dallas Traherne, Eulogio de la Cruz, not Ellie, Eulogio, Burke Bradenhop, Cameron Maben, and Mike Rabello.
A lot of prospects in that. Who was the other guy with Miggy?
Oh, this pitcher named Dontrelle.
Oh, that's it. Oh, I get it. Dontrelle, though, is like, here's the thing. Both of those guys were contract-wise. Like, Miggy had played 5 years. It was going to take a lot of money to bring Miggy back. But they should have. That's money that should have been well spent into him. Miguel Cabrera, 400 batting average against your boy. 2 for 5. 1 walk, 1 double. That one of those hits was an infield base hit when I was with the Mets. And I remember throwing it and seeing the ground ball roll. And I was like, and I looked over at Miguel at first base, and he goes, I just want to be like, fuck you. But it's awesome. Like, he's such a fun personality. I'll never forget that.
I've never spoken to him.
I actually went out, partied with him one night.
Oh, yeah? Good dude?
Yeah. Great guy. Great guy.
All right. Next up, we have maybe the most talented player that I've ever seen, and just completely wasted his talent with his attitude. Let's talk about Hanley Ramirez.
Hanley Ramirez. What are you going to say about Hanley? This is a problem of like hot and cold. One of the best prospects they've ever had, best prospects ever in baseball. Incredible talent. Just kind of a douche, kind of an idiot, kind of lazy, and still really good. 7 seasons with the Marlins, 300 batting average, right? 148 home runs, 482 RBIs, 230 stolen bases, Rookie of the Year in 06, batting title in 09, 3 All-Star games, Silver Sluggers, They dealt him to the Dodgers. He went to he got to Boston, ended up in Cleveland, retired in 19. Just kind of like talent that just got wasted away with how talented he was. He was so focused, I think, on how good he was and didn't just focus on the game, and it just kind of sucked.
Yeah, it just seems to me that a lot of guys who are like Hanley were like, okay, I got to the show. I'm great. I can stop working.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of a pitcher in New York.
How about this? Are you ready? This is the Red Sox traded him to the Marlins.
Okay.
You got him and Jesus Delgado and Harvey Garcia. Oh, and Anibal Sanchez.
Okay.
Ready? To the Red Sox for Josh Beckett, Mike Lowell, and Guillermo Mota. That was it, and those became the core of the World Series champion Red Sox in 07. Like the core of the Red Sox champion team. And then he ended up he's got some good trades. When he went to the Dodgers, when he ended up going to the Dodgers, it was Nathan Eovaldi.
Yeah.
And Scott McHugh, who's ended up, I think he's the assistant GM of the Dodgers now.
All right.
Yeah. But that's Hanley. Hanley got such a prospect.
Let's go to the final guy on your Mount Rushmore, the D-Train.
D-Train got mentioned already. I'll never forget watching him his rookie year pitching and thinking, oh my God, this dude throws like 100 because he's just big old wind up head, a foot over his head, and just throwing the ball by guys. And I'll never forget, I was sitting in a restaurant, like kind of restaurant bar, watching his debut going like, oh my God. This dude is like, he's got stuff I've never seen before. And you realize he's throwing like 92, 90. And it's like, he's just right by everybody. World Series champion in 03, two-time All-Star Rookie of the Year. When he came up, I had never seen many guys just with crazy delivery and just blowing people away with lesser stuff than other guys. You know, you see rookies come up with great stuff. But he just, he was blowing guys away, and it was so crazy.
His problem, in my estimation, and you could completely disagree, is he got too big. I think he gained too much mass, and his lower body got really bigger to the point where he couldn't get that leg up high like he did when he started. And I think that high leg kick, he was able to hide the ball a lot better, and that's why it would blow by guys. And once he got that lower body mass and he wasn't able to do that anymore, that's when he had his problems, in my estimation, as an amateur scout.
Yeah, maybe. Incredible rookie year, again, rookie of the year. He had 22 wins in 2005, was Cy Young #2, MVP 11. I don't know about the mass stuff. I just think, you just never know, like injury stuff, how sometimes that stuff plays. He never had that stuff that would just overwhelm you with how great it was. In all reality, he only played like those years in Miami, so Florida at the time. That was it. And then he got traded to Detroit, and it was really nothing after that, like 7 games, 15 games, and like never the same pitcher by any means.
He was like Lincecum. He was dominant, but it was a little too short. Just a little too short.
Lincecum minus about 5 years and maybe 100 wins.
Yeah.
But he had that year, the 22-10 year was absolutely dominant. And again, when you're looking at a list of Marlins, D-Train, it's a very short list, guys. It's a short list. Like D-Train, has 72 wins total. And again, he was very impressive when he was a Marlin, had one of the best pitching seasons, especially that year, but it's a short list.
Now, he's not on your list, and we'll talk about your first man out. We'll talk about the guy who can make it. But the guy who was destined to be on this list, just, dude, don't boat while you're messed up. And that's Jose Fernandez. He should have been on this list. Yes. He would have been on this list. Just an absolute shame.
I 100% considered him, and another guy, Christian Yelich, just didn't play long enough as a Marlin. But without a doubt, Jose Fernandez was somebody I deeply dove into on all of this. One of the greatest rookie developmentally type of things, like hitting the scene, running, going like, oh my God.
And he had the stuff too.
had the stuff. He had the Tommy John and stuff so there was a lot of other stuff going on, a lot of mental issues going on there. But dang, you're talking about somebody you lost too early.
So you're telling me that the 7 days that Mike Piazza spent in Miami was not good enough to make the list?
Not quite good enough. I mean, there were some dudes that have gone through there. Another one of those organizations that have had some dudes like Pudge, like Ozuna when Ozuna was there, was a stud. There's Cliff Floyd that, Cliff Floyd was actually one of the better guys ever there, but there's been a lot of guys that spent some time there and then see ya. You can basically go to that whole first World Series champion team and be God, that whole team was like a hi bye.
All right, let's go to your first man out and then your could make it guys. And then I want to add 2 more guys just for shits and giggles. First man out, Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson, one of the some of the best stuff in baseball that I'd ever seen around. Just an absolute stud, son of a bitch kind of attitude on the mound. Great stuff. I never remember just his kind of attitude as a pitcher. I actually picked Dontrelle Willis over him. Josh Johnson had more WAR than Dontrelle Willis. Again, WAR is just an easy stat to look at, just playing across board. But Dontrelle Willis, I think, had a lot more of an impact as a Marlin than Josh Johnson, JJ. A lot of people just call him JJ. But he played longer, had less wind, but sometimes had maybe more of an impact. I don't know. But again, great pitcher. A lot of really good stuff out of Josh Johnson, and had some really good years here. He was a Cy Young 5. He was number 4 in Rookie of the Year. But again,
I might have put him over Dontrelle just because he was the ace on that World Series team.
Yeah, I think Dontrelle, though, that 1 year, just like, again, and he had, overall over a career more. I don't know, man. It's like you're picking.
Yeah.
And Luis Castillo was one, too, I really considered. Very much consider Luis Castillo on the list, but I think both those guys had a little bit more of an impact.
And finally, the guy who could make it, but probably won't, Sandy Alcantara.
He won't. He's not going to make it. He won't be there. Sandy Alcantara, Alcantara, whatever you want to say. Cy Young winner. He absolute stud. Great stuff. We just need to see him jump back more this year. Like, come on, pitch like how you would. He's the darling of everybody. Everybody wants him. And honestly, he's like 2 really good years away from being on the list.
Right. All right, 2 guys that I just want to mention that should be mentioned when you talk about the Marlins and their history. Catcher Charles Johnson, always liked him. And you mentioned him earlier, and I'm really shocked that we didn't figure out a way to put him in. Mike Lowell, he meant so much to that organization for such a while.
Yes, Mikey Lowell. Again, he was there for 6 years, World Series champion. Again, here's the thing. He's 143. He had 272 with 143 home runs. Hanley jumped that by 100 home runs. Miggy obviously beat that up, And so when you're looking at this list, like, I'd have Yelich over him. Yelich when he was a Marlin, the dude had an incredible, he was everything. And all defense too. And Ugla was there. Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown as a Marlin in a short little period of time, he averaged 7 WAR both years he was there.
Don't forget about the great Bobby Bo.
Bobby Bo. Absolutely.
Gotta love Bobby Bo.
Probably getting paid by them too.
He's still getting paid by everybody.
Well, Jeff Conine. Jeff Conine, a huge chef in that short period when he was there.
Oh God, Chef. I forgot about him, how good he was as a Marlin.
Right. There's some dudes that were there. Josh Beckett. If Josh Beckett had spent just a couple more years, he'd be on this list.
Yeah. Yeah, they just don't keep anybody. It's a bad organization. Let's call it what it is.
Derek Lee. Talk about prospects.
All right. If you guys agree or disagree with us, please let us know. Is there somebody on the list that should be there? Feel free to, write a little comment. So tell us that we're smart or we're stupid. We're fine with either one. Make sure you
both.
Make sure you subscribe. What was that?
Been called both.
Yeah. Most of the time by your wife.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm James. He's David. We'll see you next time.